Is this the revolution in the electric segment, even a revolution for small vehicles overall? Because there have been more and more SUVs, also the small ones. Here now a classic small hatch from Volkswagen, the all-new VW Polo as the ID.Polo, the electric version, a brother to the recently revealed Cupra Raval. They're being built together in the same factory, so we're also going to explain these differences. And can this vehicle here be a new bestseller starting below, just right below 25,000 euros? Of course, more than in higher specs. And stay tuned, because later we'll also show you the 25,000 euro entry version, what you get for your money then. All the deals you need to know in exterior, interior and the technology with Thomas and Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go here with the new front. Light strip goes all the way through, illuminated VW logo here in the nice blue color. And you also have the IQ Light, the matrix LED with the style trim. The style trim now is officially like a high trim. So before it was like a mid trim, now they have reorganized the whole thing and the style trim is a high trim actually. This new platform is front wheel drive. So you only have then the drive on the front axle. All-wheel drive versions so far not available, and they probably won't as well. This one here then with 211 horsepower. Later there will be an even stronger GTI version. We will have a separate video for you on that at a later stage. But still, you have rear disc brakes because there's no recuperation at the rear axle, and that's why I also want to go for disc brakes, and also because customers wanted to have that actually. Here the classic hatch shape, the rear doors you can open right there, soon more to all of the interior details. And then here at the rear also a modern signature, this squircle style so to speak, and then the light signature goes through and the red illuminated logo of VW in the back. So overall a very clean design. This is also what Volkswagen wanted to do. They wanted to go back to some retro design elements, both exterior and also on the interior to come very soon. And also with a large trunk here on the inside. This is also another aspect very soon. Let's take a look under the hood if they have managed to put a frunk here in this very, very final version. There we go. So, and then I'm going to talk about the batteries after that. So here in the front, yeah, there is sadly no frunk. What's the reason? Here, this is the climate compressor, and it's housed in a very extensive way there, you know. And this is against vibrations, so they want to have big cooling power and also heating power. At the same time, it should not make any noise on the interior. And that's why they have this extensive housing. The SUV brother, the ID Cross, this one's supposed to get a frunk then as a contrast to this. And then let's talk about the batteries. You will start with the 37 kilowatt hour LFP battery. That's like the different chemistry. And then 27 minutes, 10 to 80% state of charge. And then the big battery is at 52 kilowatt hours NMC chemistry. So that's why this chemistry difference, they will be both at approximately the same weight, although the LFP is the smaller battery. The LFPs are a little bit heavier. And then you have charging port is here on this side. Then you have 24 minutes, 10 to 80% state of charge in the DC charging with a 105 kilowatt peak. Other than that, 11 kilowatt AC charging. And the charging port is here in the right front on the passenger side. And this always has pros and cons. You can argue back and forth what's the best solution. If you have a single garage, then the charging port on the driver's side would be best, because you know you park at the right side, that you can still get out on the left side. Then again, if you have like pavement parking and you park in the right side, you know, on the European roads, then on the right side it is more practical. So it always depends on what is the most frequent use case for you. And in the front, I found it, for example, good if you have a wall box in the basement garage. Here, then it doesn't matter if it's there or there, but it's good that's in the front. But it always depends on the individual use case, of course. This new platform here, as I said, front-wheel drive, in contrast to the Sofa MEB platform, which is rear-wheel drive, and both again has pro and con. They also use a torsion beam as the rear axle. We have to see how it is in driving. I did a first pre-drive already, and it was actually quite decent. But because of that, they have actually spaced in between the axle a little bit more to enable this very, very large trunk we can expect to see very, very soon. And the pricing, we will talk about that later, but the entry-level versions will just be under 25,000 euros. As I said, like 24,900. So this is also supposed to, bring this fine, volume revolution also to people who don't want to spend like 80,000 euros for BMW iX3 or something like that. And of course, the respective leasing rates. So I'm looking forward also to the leasing rates for this one. Before we get to the interior, quickly just to the wheels, 17 to 19 inch. These here are the biggest, the 19 inch. The style trim level would already come with 18 inch as standard. And then door closing sound here, very solid like that. And here on the rear, also super solid, and classic door handles. No matter from where, they went back to classic door handles, and I think that's a great solution. We don't need flush door handles, which will be forbidden in China anyways. We don't need strange fins here to open the doors or whatever. We just need classic door handles, and that's it. Door frames here, yeah, I'm not sure if this one will look good long term. This is maybe a little bit cheaply done. Let's see how it is from the interior details. Top part here, sadly only hard pack, so this could be soft touch, but I like this bright fabric insert. There are of course also dark interiors available. And then you have this door opener from the inside from the Volkswagen T-Roc with a metal knurling right there, opening and closing. And then classic here for the side mirror control as we know it, as we want it. And 4 window levers, they are also back, so that's a good decision. Large door pocket. This is, however, not covered here from the inside. Then we have a fabric dashboard on the top. Then some bright fabric here, light mode controllers, and this new steering wheel, animal-free material. Feels nice, good quality, illuminated logo right there. Look at that, and also a nice structure here on the airbag cover, and also flat bottom, dual tone, and real buttons at the steering wheel. They have also made their comeback with a very good clicking feedback. Also right side for the heated steering wheel, for example. That's great. So we listen to your feedback. VW has listened to your feedback via us as well to bring back real buttons on the interior. So yeah, this is also thanks to you, thanks to our community, and we got that feedback then to VW. So I'm really happy to see these real buttons. Then the seats, there's a base fabric seat, a black one. Then you can also get here this bright one, for example. And this is already the optional seat here in the style trim level. You have some red on the outside, and also here in the top shoulder part there, this seat here, the optional one, has a little bit more support, already like a sport seat, for example. So this whole interior then is also then more sustainable than before. And then here the seating comfort is also good for tall drivers. That's absolutely fine. It's also good in the sit bone area, and you're housed in with your shoulders very well. That's nice. This is the lowest position, and here with headroom 189 or 6'2", and the steering wheel goes up and down manually, and there's also a lot to discover more here in the cockpit. Soon more about the range and the prices, but first of all here the cockpit overview, where you have the 13-inch screen in the middle. Nice ambient lighting, you can see here subtle integration, also interesting materials used there and fabric. So this is a clean design and also form follows function again, and large instruments here in 10-inch. So got rid of these very tiny ID model instruments, and here now the ID.Polo makes it a little bit larger. And also that's also something that we have been fighting for. You also smell it. There's like I think they're cooking food somehow next door, and it's like a food smell coming in there. Not something. Someone is frying something. Yeah, some frying. I don't know. Yeah, you can't smell it on camera, but glad you can't. Back to the vehicle, and here it's this is also something we've been fighting for. This is here a temperature switch.
The route has been changed because of the current travel situation.
Oh no! Oh no! The route has been changed because of the current travel situation. Yes, someone has probably put a route in there. So here, this is then warmer, colder. Here's for the fan speed. Glad to have these physical dials back, and also here with this metal knurling at the top, for example.
Press the hazard light.
Oh,
That's nice.
Oh, look at that! They learned from BMW. Even here at the inside of the doors, look at that. Hey, it's also here at the inside of the doors, the yellow light. So yeah, interesting effect. Yeah, I think BMW did start that actually. Then we have here some headroom left with 189, 6'2", and this is the glass roof. You don't have to go for that one. You can also get a fixed roof. And if you have the glass roof, you cannot open it, but you can apply this shade here that it doesn't get that hot. So it's up to you, and they at least offer the choice. And what I've also find quite cool, we have these retro gauges, and it already starts here at the infotainment system. This is like Golf 1, Golf 2 inspired here from, like this retro design. I think it's a beautiful idea. Why not? You don't, yeah, the hippie culture, and you don't have to use it, but you can. You can also get a different design, but I think it's pretty cool to have that here. There's like this old analog TV style, for example, and also the retro instruments. This car really gives me some Golf 1 reduced to the max vibes. Why do I say that? Everything makes sense in a way, It's not too much. You have it reduced to the max. I have proper instruments, I have proper infotainment, I have physical dials for the temperature, I have physical dials on the steering wheel. I can easily put in the gears and so on. And it's not that you sit down like in many, many other cars nowadays and think like, okay, so before I start driving, what am I supposed to do here? And then you try to do something and you're like, whoa, I need like 10 hours to learn this car. And here, this is finally a modern car again, where you sit down, start driving, and everything is more or less self-explanatory. That's a great thing, and this is why VW said that they also want to go back like to the original spirit. I think this vehicle here is a great, wow, the steering wheel gets really hot because I put in this the steering wheel heating. So it's pretty cool. Also has a good grip, and I've already driven around in this one, like over winding roads, and I can really say it handled extremely well. Very sporty, even without this, like the explicit GTI version later on to come. By the way, the GTI will get the DCC, the adaptive suspension. The normal one here not planned. And then later on, we can also expect an R-Line with a fixed lower sport suspension. So this will be the thing. I would also maybe wish a DCC for the normal one, but yeah, they were searching for the packaging and so on. This one, by the way, also is equipped with the Harman Kardon sound system to also bring some more upgraded sound here in this very vehicle. But I think the interior here works very well. Or what do you think? One more detail look at the instruments, because this is here this lovely retro styling, and yeah, I just love it. I would exactly drive like this. If you don't want, you can have this more modern look like this, or you can also have this full map view, also possible. And the same goes for the main infotainment unit. You can also just switch it to a different mode. This is here like the normal home menu, for example. So yeah, everything is possible. You could also control the climate unit in there if you're not a physical dial fan. Of course, why would you do that? I would always use the physical dials here in the lower part, but you don't have to. And here the special seat settings. Oh, there's a seat massage. Let's try that. Waves, intensity, maybe a little higher. Yeah, you feel that, but it's more the lumbar support. It's not like individual dots like a luxury feature, but I think we cannot also expect that from this very segment. The menu itself here is also quite good in the overview, and you can always have these hotkeys in the top part, for example, that you can easily deactivate some assistance systems quite quickly. So that's actually also possible. So you can individualize, or you can also swipe down, put some here. This, for example, the retro mode, you can activate or deactivate it there as well. So you can individualize this infotainment system quite quickly. These are also the driving modes, for example. In the GTI, the suspension will also change them for that. And here you go to some basic car settings. You can also deactivate the lane assist or the speed warning quite quickly. In the middle console here, inductive charging pad. And this is like a place where you can put your smartphone actually here in like this. This would be possible. Or like this towards you, and then from underneath there's like a small hole, and then you can put the cable from underneath to the top part, and that you can charge via cable. Also, you can also put this whole thing out to clean it. There's the inductive charging pad. You can also see the cooling hole, and underneath you can find the two USB-C chargers then, where you can put the cable from the lower part to the upper part. So that would be possible. And then the cup holders, they are not adaptive, sadly. I would wish for some adaptive knobs. And then here the armrest. It's quite soft. Underneath, more space. So what's 4 meters and 5 or 160 inches for the rear seats? Let's take a look. Here also hardback, of course, and rear doors, Harman Kardon sound system, more white inserted in fabric. Also the same door openers here. What's the reason behind that? They always thought like, hey, when you open it, like you'd make this move anyway. Like you have this your hand here, and this would be like the natural movement. And it's not too bad, and also has this metal knurling actually, and then door pockets as usual, but not covered. Then we have Isofix on the outside seats each. Here also the white fabric on the inside. You could also theoretically sit in the middle part, but yeah, space for else is of course limited, but it would directly work still with legroom. You know, not more legroom than a little bit from the different seating position from the ID Cross, the SUV brother, and also closely with the headroom. But you see, you could drive with 4 tall adults theoretically. The middle seat is, it won't work with the legs then actually, you know, that's the thing. And 2 USB-C chargers then here in the lower part. And now it's time to check out this large trunk area. And now here, 440 liters, sounds much for such a vehicle. And then here, this one also still fits underneath vertically. We have a width of about 1.40 meters, and then the length is about 25 inches or 65 centimeters. Here you can also load through 1/3, 2/3 split, and to the seats as I would be driving, this is here 54 inches or 1.37 meters, about that. And then the height, we need to deinstall this top part, and here the surprise, the lower part is still to come. The most interesting part I leave for the final wow effect. So there we go. And then we're here at the height of 26 inches or 66 centimeters. And underneath here, this I can flip it like this, and then here, and I can store it like this. And then you have a lot of space underneath. You can even put a suitcase in there. And here, this is the Harman Kardon sound system, the subwoofer. It will not be differently covered or something like that, so you have to be careful a little bit. If you don't have this extension, sound system extension, then of course you have even more space in here in this lower compartment. But you can see here, you can also store the charging cable because, yeah, there is no frunk. But a very practical solution. And what we can also do is use this one and put this in a lower stage like this here. And then we even have a different height. And this, of course, pretty amazing. Here we had 33 inches or 83 centimeters. And even more so, if you take it out, maybe you can even transport a plant from IKEA or whatever you want to use it for. So this is one. Yeah, no, I also love plants, you know. I especially like, you know, like this, you know, because we love like, you know, Joshua tree and stuff, and we like best greetings to everyone, you know, in the area there. So we love like cactus landscape and desert landscape and so on. And, you know, like Leah likes the boho interior style. So Leah is pretty much into like interior home styling and so on. And I mean, I do profit from that, you know. Let's say not budget-wise, that's quite the opposite. But then the home also looks pretty nice, definitely. And yeah, I think this ID.Polo looks also nice from the exterior. It looks nice from the interior. I think it is basically the right car at the right time. Battery sizes, you always have to discuss that, of course, if it's, let's say, enough. I would actually pick one with the large battery. Why is that? If you go for it with a small battery, it only has the use case of only city driving. And for some who plan to have it as a just secondary vehicle, that might be enough and you spend less budget. If you plan to have it as a primary single vehicle, then you should go for the big battery, because then you can just do more with that vehicle. And yes, also in comparison to the ID.3, the bigger brother, the batteries are quite small. However, you have to think about that these very small EVs, they have a very tiny frontal area. They don't push so much against the wind. So this one receives a WLTP, this official driving cycle, which is just under 50 kilometers average speed of 450 kilometers. That is a realistic value when you have a lot of city driving share, like predominant city driving and lower speed driving. If we now think about motorway driving, and from our experience also with the sister models here, then you can expect at the like reasonable motorway speed, a realistic real road range of about 300 kilometers or 190 miles, which is still okay for, you know, many use cases. of course, it's not the car like for the long traveler every day and business salesman or something like that. Then you would probably rather end up with a VW ID.7, have a business leasing for that. But here, especially like in the maybe lower spec versions, or if they do some good leasing offers, this could also bring electric mobility in a more affordable area. Make no mistake, 25,000 euros might be the entry price for the small battery and for the naked vehicle, which also is equipped quite well. But if you now think about that you put the big battery in and also high trim, high equipment, then as this car stands here, you might end up with about like 37,000 euros. That's not cheap. Also, if you compare like past Polos and so on from the combustion engine side. But if you compare other larger electric vehicles, it's still then somewhat reasonable. And you might ask yourself, well, if it's really close to this entry price of 25,000 euros, what do you then get for it? And this is a base entry level version here in the interesting yellow color, but you can of course pick a different color. And here, this is not the IQ Light, no matrix, and then you have some daytime running light here, but this is just like a white strip and no illuminated logo, so you don't have the light bar running through. And this vehicle only has a very, very few options, so it's not like 24,900, but this one is like 25,000 euros something, because it would start with 17-inch steel wheels, so it's like just a cover. And this is the only option. It has the 17-inch, the smallest ones, but this is already the aluminum wheel. So this is like one slight option, so to speak. Other than that, you have more or less the same side profile. In the rear, if you don't have the matrix LED, it's also a little bit different. That on the exterior, you have these here, yes, but then again, you don't have the strip that runs through here. Looks, of course, more impressive with the light strip that runs through, but you can also live with it, let's take it that way. And also with the smaller wheels, you have more dampening comfort, so that's also an advantage. And let's see if the interior also works out, because here, just black tone. Here you have a black fabric on the inside. You have the monotone steering wheel, so not with the white mix and so on, more subtle, more drawn back. And these are also the base fabric seats, all in black. No contrast, no leatherette. And let's see about the comfort, if it's any good. And oh, there's music running. And actually, here, let's pump them down. This is the manual seat then here, no electric control, but you can also live with that. And it's actually fairly comfortable. So I wouldn't say that the other seats have more support here in the shoulder area, but these are also very comfortable. So if you can live with the small battery, then this also might work. And by the way, here also no glass roof. This is a fixed roof, nice bright ceiling from the inside. Also has an advantage because there's less sun coming through actually, because even if you have the cover, when you have a fixed roof, it's always better against heat protection. If you want the cheapest price, like stay at this 25,000 euros, you have to stay with this one, small battery and also the lowest spec. We can take a quick look also in the trunk, because that's also a little bit different. They won't have like the full cover for that. Here, for example, when I lift this one up here, then you don't have everything covered there. This is also like a saving measure, but this is like accessory part here, that you have this like this splitter in the lower part and have this organizer, so to speak. So this would also be an accessory option. So overall, I have to say, I think it also works here. Oh, interesting. This doesn't have like this here, this top step you see here, like this, that you can have it in two positions. So this is only then the lower position, or take it out completely. It's also interesting. So I have to say, if you really want to, stay true to this 25,000 euros price, this can also work, or what do you think? And if you wonder about the differences to the Cupra Raval, it has, let's say, a more sporty, dramatic exterior. Same technological facts. The GTI version will be the VZ version. And the interior, also same from the dimensions and so on, but a completely different styling. Here, once again, the more dramatic Cupra styling. And the setup will be a little bit sportier in the driving. So the Polo, a little bit more drawn back, a cleaner thing, exterior, interior, and a little bit more comfort for driving. The Cupra, the more dramatic exterior and interior, and also then the sportier setup. What do you think about that? And now it's time to compare some other small electric vehicles here on Autogefühl.